January 22nd meeting in the Borough of Milltown will now come to order. Will the clerk please read the open public meeting statement?
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required under Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, specifying the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda, by posting a copy of the notice on the municipal building, municipal website, providing a copy to the official newspaper of the borough, and by filing a copy in the office of the borough clerk in accordance with a certification by the clerk, which will be entered into the minutes.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Revelinsky.
Here.
Councilman Collins.
Here.
Councilman Menko.
Here.
Councilman Poznansky.
Here.
Councilman Potter.
Here.
Councilman Zambrana.
Here.
Mayor Murray.
Here.
Borough Attorney Peter Vignolo.
Present.
Borough Engineer McClellan.
Here.
Borough Administrator Fred Carr.
Present.
Borough Clerk Monica Orlando here.
Please join me in a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight, the Borough Clerk will administer the oath of office to the new Deputy Borough Clerk.
Here, so that way.
Oh, thank you for patting me on the back.
Right hand on the Bible. You ready?
All right.
I, Mary Guiney,
I, Mary Garney,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
perform all the duties of the office of Deputy Borough Clerk
perform all the duties of the office of Deputy Borough Clerk
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
and that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Quick, make a run for it.
Now is the time for public comments limited to the resolutions listed on the agenda. If you wish to speak, please step up to the microphone and say your name and address for the record. Seeing that no comments, this portion of the meeting is closed to the public. Will the clerk please read the ordinance 24-1529 by title only?
Ordinance 24-1529, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 48:4-45.14.
Will council make a motion?
I move that this ordinance be approved on second reading and, or published according to law. And
First reading.
First reading, there you go. Published according to law and approved at the February 12th council meeting.
Second. Councilman Collins.
Council President Revelinsky approved, and Councilman Collins second. Will the roll call?
Council President Revelinsky.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilman Menko.
Aye.
Councilman Poznanski.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Councilman Zambrana.
Aye.
Public hearing on this ordinance will take place on February 12th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. Authorizing bill payment. Will the clerk please read Resolution 2024-54?
Authorizing the payment of bills, claims, and statements against the Borough of Milltown in the total amount of $2,851,402.69.
You have heard this reading of this resolution. What is your pleasure?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I had a question on this. Do you put it up for vote yet, or do we question it?
We can make a motion that it be adopted and then amend said motion if needed.
I had a question on page 16 about PFK O'Connor Davis. It's a utility study. It says what WS connection fee. It's for $15,000. Does anybody know anything about that?
So I know that this was previously approved in 2023 when we had the resolution in front of us to, which I have here somewhere referencing the resolution number, but it was not to exceed this, and I'm actually glad that you pulled it because I was having the same question, was that, I know that they submitted a report and that it was not distributed, out for public consumption because we had some concerns over it, and I was just wondering what the council's thoughts were that, if we need to go for revisions on this, do we feel comfortable paying the full amount of this invoice at this time, since that maximizes the total allotted dollars towards the study?
So my question is, what do you mean it wasn't sent out? Everybody got a copy of it.
We did, but there were some concerns with it originally, I believe,
Right,
with
and
that last email.
Yeah, but we had that would be brought over to utilities meeting for this year, because that was something that we got the study and we explained that it'll be further discussed with the new administration, which is now Councilman Collins. And Councilman Collins was also on utilities last year, so he was a part of the meeting where we had that, so.
Right, and I know we have a meeting scheduled for Thursday, so do we want to pull this one and then, if everyone's in agreement, pay it at the next one? I'm just concerned that if there are further corrections needed to it or explanations, we don't have anything that requires PKF O'Connor Davies to come back and explain that. And I think the only way to do so is by not having this full amount.
So you're not going to pay this bill, is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
And
Or at least in full.
in full? So you don't want to pay someone who's provided services to the borough because you still have an issue all of a sudden with the data that was
It's
provided?
not all of a sudden. This issue has been floating around, and now we're going to have the...
First time I've heard that there's an issue with the report.
Okay.
And what it basically does, that report, all it does is give a summary of what the water and sewer utility is worth. And I believe it was $24 million, around that, per the data that they provided, so...
That wasn't the intent of the study. The intent of the study was to determine what the connection fees should be for new developments.
And they did.
And they did, if you looked in the report, they did provide the connection fee data.
Council President, if I may, and I like to practice law, which I do often, without a license. The conversation on whether or not we agree with the report or not, as a new guy, is a separate conversation under the statute, which is the prompt payment law required by the state of New Jersey.
Which gives
If
us
they
30
have-
days to pay unless there's a disputed amount, right?
We're not disputing the amount, we're just disputing the content. And I think that if the council would like to have questions or further conversations, we need to pay the bill as to not be in violation of the law. And then if we have questions, then we should bring them back in and say, have our questions there. But we have, in my opinion, no justifiable means to not pay a viable and valid bill approved by last year's council. They were tasked to do a job, they did the job, they presented an invoice, we're obligated to pay it.
Good point.
Okay. Is that how you see it as well, for a borough attorney?
I would see it exactly that way. Also, I believe the report came in last year at some point, so if the council was going to take issue with the report, I think it should have happened more expeditiously if you were going to go back to them. If you're going to wait several months and then put it on for payment and then pull it because you have an issue with a report that is several months old, I think you're going to have more of a problem there as well. Okay?
So we still have to have the motion approved and seconded for,
Well, then I approve that the bill list be approved as typed.
Second.
I have a motion by Council President Revelinsky, seconded by Councilman Pazanski. Please call the roll.
Council President Revelinsky.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilman Menko.
Aye.
Councilman Poznanski.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Councilman Zambrana.
Aye.
A consent resolution has been prepared for the resolutions listed on the agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and having been reviewed by the Borough Council will be enacted in one motion. Any items may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any council member, and if so, removed, will be treated in a separate manner. Any items required expenditure or supported by a certificate of funds. If any member of the council wants any resolution acted upon individually, please give me the resolution number and it will be pulled from the consent resolution.
Mr. Mayor, 2024-65?
65, you said?
Yes.
All right, will the clerk please read the consent agenda resolution?
Whereas pursuant to the rules of council, the council may establish a consent agenda for any regular or special meetings upon certain conditions, and whereas each of the resolutions to be presented before the Borough Council at its January 22nd, 2024 regular meeting appear to have the unanimous approval of all members of the Borough Council, 2024-56 through 2024-64. Now therefore be it resolved by the Borough Council of the Borough of Milltown that each of the above listed resolutions be approved and adopted by the Borough Council with the same legal effect as though each was read in its entirety at the January 22nd, 2024 regular meeting and adopted by separate vote.
Yeah, have heard the reading of the consent resolution. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that these resolutions be adopted.
Second?
I have a motion by Councilman Potter and seconded by Council President Revelinsky.
No, Councilman Collins.
Oh, Councilman Collins, sorry. Will the clerk please call roll?
Council President Revelinsky.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilman Menko.
Aye.
Councilman Poznanski.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Councilman Zambrana.
Aye.
Will the clerk read Resolution 2024-65 by title?
Authorizing grant submission, Sustainable New Jersey.
What is the pleasure of the council?
Mr.
Move
Mayor,
that this resolution be adopted.
second.
I have a motion by Council President Revelinsky, seconded by Councilman Potter. Are there any discussion? Is there any discussion?
Yeah, so, Mr. Mayor, I don't see a dollar amount associated with what this might cost. I know there's a lot of, content here about recruiting the Home Depot and recruiting Milltown senior club members and the school district and master gardeners, which is great, but I still don't have any sort of idea of what this might cost. And this grant hasn't been submitted yet, right?
There's a,
I'm sorry. This resolution's authorizing us to apply for the grant. It's
Great.
not
Has
authorizing-
anyone seen the grant? Like the application itself?
I was given a copy of the application, yes.
But the grant itself, the
Well,
application and all the details?
Yes, yeah, the actual thing from PSE&G through Sustainable New Jersey.
Okay, and it doesn't say anything about
There's
amount?
incremental amounts, there's 2,000, 5,000, I believe 10,000 are the different amounts.
Okay,
I can send you a copy.
okay, thank you.
any further discussion?
No, it just says on here, whereas the Borough of Milltown strives to save tax dollars, assure clean air, water, and improve working and living conditions. So anything that saves tax dollars, I'm for.
I agree, I just want to know how much it's going to cost, that's all.
Good enough.
Even if it's an estimated number.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, will the clerk please call roll?
Council President Revelinsky.
Aye.
Councilman Collins.
Aye.
Councilman Menko.
Aye.
Councilman Poznanski.
Aye.
Councilman Potter.
Aye.
Councilman Zambrana.
No.
Reports from the officials.
Do you want me to go first then? Sure. So I have a bit of a long report here this evening. We've been quite busy the first month of January. Borough held a special meeting on January 16th, which resulted in the appointing of Ms. Denise Biancamano as the borough's interim chief financial officer, while we await resumes from qualified candidates. A job posting has been made to the League of Municipalities website indicating the borough's availability for a permanent CFO. Ms. Biancamano previously served as the chief financial officer of the borough and the business administrator for 15 years prior to taking employment elsewhere. We are fortunate to have Ms. Biancamano assist the borough during this transition period. Her intimate knowledge of the borough's finances and department functions will enable the borough to not only have all duties of the chief financial officer covered, but allow us to move forward with the 2024 budget preparations and assist in selecting a candidate for the permanent position. A finance meeting will be held on Wednesday, January 24th at 7 p.m. with our CFO in Borough Hall, with the members of the Finance Committee, which include myself, Councilman Collins, and Councilman Potter. We look forward to introducing an amendment to the Borough Salary Ordinance at our next council meeting, which we'll be discussing at that meeting as well. Other miscellaneous matters. As Council President, I'd like to implement an understanding of communication procedures. Short of implementing and adopting a policy, I look forward to cooperation among all council members. And to summarize, our business administrator and clerk should be the addressee on all matters intended to be shared amongst council members. Furthermore, matters requiring or inquiring information from our paid professionals shall follow the same. The intended result is to mitigate the outlay of costs from redundant calls to our professionals. As the BA and clerk will have those communications, they may easily be able to direct any council member to the respective council member who may have already addressed the issue or asked a question. Furthermore, responses to any questions can easily be sent to all members so everyone is on the same page and no one is left in the dark on any issues. Other updates. The selected architect, Element, has been contacted and we're working towards a finalized agreement for the condition assessment report for the structures at the former Schwendeman property, i.e. the log cabin on Colf Avenue. The architect contacted our DPW director, whom he informed that our prior BA stated additional monies for the grant would be made available to complete the study beyond the estimated $5,000, since it has been revealed that no floor plans exist for the facility and would be highly recommended to provide a thorough report. His initial estimate is, in addition to his initial estimate, is about 16 hours to 24 hours, which would be about $2,400. The mayor, myself, and Councilman Manco were to meet with the superintendent and school board president today. However, due to the last-minute scheduling changes, this meeting is currently being rescheduled. We've begun addressing some other unfinished business. Last year, the budget included appropriations for security cameras at various locations within the borough. I requested copies of the estimates, and upon review, saw that each location requires internet service. These proposals have been forwarded to the OEM, or Public Safety Committee, which will be reviewing them and work with the DPW subcommittee before making recommendations to the Finance Committee on which locations to proceed with. This raised awareness to internet services. I inquired with the Recreation Department regarding internet service that was added at the pool last year for gate attendants. We are looking into how we can possibly combine the pool, Mayor Gloria Bradford Park, and the Senior Center into a single account and hopefully mitigate costs that will be incurred when security cameras are added. I would like to thank the members of the Milltown Little League who expressed their desire to make further improvements to Gloria Bradford Park. Initial discussions indicated rehabilitating some of the areas currently occupied by the Little League, and we look forward to a presentation from them requesting permission to proceed in February. The Ford Avenue Redevelopment Agency is in the process of reviewing received applications and resumes to fill the position of Executive Director. The previous Executive Director has graciously offered to stay on during this process. I attended the pre-construction meeting for the improvements to West Foch the other day. Myself, Councilman Poznanski, and Councilman Collins represented the borough from three perspectives: utilities, DPW, and finance. Significant emphasis was placed on communication with the residents. As this project will likely require full road closure to perform the work, it is imperative our communication with the residents is held in a high standard. In anticipation of the Albert Avenue Park Improvements Project on the near horizon, draft plans have been sent to all council members as well as DPW and the Recreation Department for their recommendations and suggestions. In 2022, the DPW Department committee, which was charged with the development of this project, the discussion to do more than just a bike path was agreed upon. We look forward to having all comments from respective parties by January 30th so that our borough engineer can make revisions prior to their presentation to council and the residents at our next council meeting in February. All comments should be sent to our business administrator to be compiled in one list and presented to our borough engineer. At the same time, I've requested that our BA reach out to Middlesex County regarding utilization of our open space park grants. Several questions were asked for clarification and to notify the county of the upcoming work. We truly appreciate the continued support of the Middlesex County Board of Chosen Freeholders as we continue to keep Milltown a community in action. I do have one question here for Mr. McClellan, which real quickly is, last year the borough submitted a grant application for illuminated pedestrian crosswalks in several locations. Do you have an update on that application and/or when we might expect to receive notice of award or denial?
Yeah, update tonight, I can check and get back to you.
Excellent, thank you. And last but not least, sale of surplus equipment. As we work toward cleaning up our old DPW facility and potential park project, I followed up with our borough clerk last week as to the status of the removal of surplus equipment. And she has told me that they've been working diligently on obtaining all of the titles and are preparing to post that equipment for sale/auction.
Probably by the end of the month.
By the end of the month, which is only a few more days. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Councilman Collins?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Excuse me, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not used to being second. I'm used to down at third or fourth, fifth. Water utility. Water main break on Clay Street has been repaired. Monitoring of the pump station occurs on regular schedule. Church Street Pump Station, Pump 2A has been repaired and installed. It is up and running. Hydrants were repaired on Van Loo and Tracy Drive. As per DPW requirements, the water main interconnection between Milltown, East Brunswick, and North Brunswick has been tested, operated, and flushed. Hydrant flushing has been concluded. If anyone isn't signed up to receive the notices through Nixle, email, and message, please go to nixle.com to register. And I'd like to thank the water utility company for all the breaks we've had in the last couple of days. They really did a good job. Milltown Electric Utility. Stormwater on January 9th and 10th, a tree fell into the wires on Highland Drive on Chestnut Street, causing an outage. The tree was removed and broken wires were restrung and restored power. A large limb fell into the primary wires at the manufacturing facility on Ford Avenue, causing an outage. The limb was removed and some tree and vine removal was performed. 2 fuses were replaced to complete the restoration. A shopping center on North Main Street had partial power. A blown fuse was found and replaced. Linemen responded to 10 calls for broken street lights. 4 lights were repaired. 6 were replaced with energy-efficient LED lights. A pole transfer was performed on Albert Avenue at the location where a broken pole was recently set. A broken electric meter was replaced. The Boy Scouts Christmas tree trailer was disconnected from service. Abandoned telco and cable wires were removed from several poles. Department members responded to several calls of down wires. Bucket truck number 9 has been returned to service after hydraulic repair. The borough's 4 diesel generators were inspected and tested by the utility department. Various power problems were evaluated throughout the borough. The utility department worked with the billing department to troubleshoot billing disputes throughout the month. A dead tree fell on Janet Court, endangering the distribution wires in the area. The tree was taken down by the department members. An old wooden primary pin was snapped and the primary wire into a tree. A new pin was installed, and the wire attached, and the utility crew was on hand for collapsed Ford Avenue warehouse. I'd also like to thank Councilman Revelinsky for his work on the Public Works Department last year in removing a lot of trees. We had those storms and we had like little or no outages, so I'd just like to thank Councilman Revelinsky. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent. Councilman Manco?
So in a couple of things, I did meet with the rec department the other day, and we went over general introductions of how well they're doing. I think our town is very lucky to be well serviced by them. And the town I grew up in didn't have that kind of stuff, so I really appreciate it. We did talk and went over a bit of the details regarding the Albert Ave plan to try and get a feel for what everyone who is there likes about the initial plan, what they might want to see added, deleted, moved, upgraded. In work in general, we know the bike path is the bike path, but things like benches, lights, safety in general are concerns. It was mentioned that there should be perhaps a lighted crosswalk there, at least. So basically, we all kind of are compiling our ideas. We're going to get those over to Kelly Boyd. She's going to amass those into a list and kind of rank them about how many people wanted the same thing over and over. I don't know if you've been CC'd on that. Yep. Kelly? Good. Thank you. I expected that. And then beyond that, there's some really good stuff going on. Rec and library, two things I'm affiliated with, do really nice stuff. So I have the easy task. Milltown Recreation Basketball Program began on Saturday, January 20th. The registration had a great turnout. A lot of parents and family members have volunteered to coach, which always eases the burden for the rec department and will make for a very good program going forward. The head coach of the Spotswood High School girls basketball had reached out to the rec department and had set up a thing to do a youth night on January 16th where they play with the younger girls of the town. With the inclement weather, that didn't work. But the girls did attend the varsity game and sat behind the players to cheer them on against East Brunswick. And they're proud to partner with Spotswood High School on many other events going forward. There are a lot of winter programs. There's been a very good turnout for yoga. In fact, if you would like to still sign up, you can, but spots fill up very quickly. So please make haste as you do. Men's basketball also had a lot of good turnout in people signing up. After the holidays, a lot of people want to try and get moving. And the newest installment of that, of the adult style, is women's volleyball, which also had a good turnout, and they still have spaces available too. So feel free to try and join that. Registration is now open for the USA Sports Soccer Clinic, which is starting in March at the Parkview School, and you can use Community Pass to register for that. In the down the road, expected to be somewhere spring or summer, you can look for a theater group to be starting in Milltown, which will be for ages 6 months up to 8th grade, which is a good boon for the town. I'll tell you, the only interactive program around seems to be the one in South Brunswick. As a parent, I can tell you it is 22 minutes back and forth to that spot to drop off and pick up 2 nights a week, at least on a Saturday, and as you get closer, it's like 4 nights a week. So having one of these in town, which is going to be partnered with Highland Park, is a really big step for Milltown, and a really well-intentioned program, I think, for Milltown as well. Closing to the end of this, and I'm trying to not talk fast so everyone can understand me, but I don't want to go on too long. Milltown night with the New Jersey Devils. Tuesday, April 9th, a 7 p.m. game. I believe the tickets are $55, though it's not clarified on my flyer yet. But it is a group box seating, so all of the Milltown signups which you can do on Community Pass. Will be in the same area. It is, I'll qualify it as a gated arena, so the kids can't slip away from you if you're not looking for a few minutes. There will be video games, restrooms, it's kind of a box in a general area, so you feel free to sign up for that. On the initial presentation of that offer, I believe 65 of the 130 tickets were taken. There is no transportation, you have to provide that on your own, but it should be a fun night. There will also be a family-friendly entertainment, vaguely stated, but I'm sure that'll be good. A post-game photo on the ice, and then you also receive a voucher for $10 of food and beverage for each ticket, and each person under 18 receives a Devil's String bag, so something to look into, and just a good thing. As I mentioned in one of the meetings, you know, if there's anything that you walked away from going like, that was really cool, I'm glad I did that. Typically, it had rec, or it had the library, a lot of times standing on that. And with that, I'll mention a few other quick things. I don't want to take the whole night, so I'm going to move it to fast voice now. Please, join your yoga on Tuesday, January 23rd at 9:15 a.m. at the library. There is a Wills and Estate Planning seminar, which is presented by Kenneth Verkamen, Esquire, on Tuesday the 23rd at 6 p.m. After school, on Wednesday, there is origami instruction, as you can say it, January 24th at 3 p.m. You can eat, drink, and vote on Saturday, January 27th at 10:15 a.m. Hold on, I think I missed something here. The event is presented by the League of Women Voters, and I guess that is going to be regarding the origami? I'm sorry, I'm looking over with a little help, but I'll clarify the email. But apparently there's some type of thing that is, okay, I think it's a trial voting done by the League of Women Voters. It's a little vague, I'm gonna have to get a little bit of information, or you can look on the library website. Beyond that, there's going to be Lego Club on Monday, January 29th at 6 p.m. They provide Legos, and you're allowed to build and use them for your own content. It is open to kids and families. Additionally to that, Nacho Corn Chip Day, Nacho Bingo on Tuesday, January 30th at 6:30 p.m. Chips and salsa provided, and you're welcome to bring a dip if you'd like to bring some or share, open to adults and families. And also, the library has a book club the last Tuesday of each month. Beyond that, I think I'm ready to move on.
That's it.
Thank you.
Councilman Poznanski?
Sure. I have a DPW report, followed by the Milltown Senior Center update. Christmas tree pickup began on Monday, January 8th. Please be sure to remove all lights, decorations, and tinsel. Please do not put trees in a plastic bag. Street sweeping has taken place and is ongoing to meet DEP regulations. Quarterly catch basin and outfall pipe cleaning has taken place to meet the DEP stormwater regulations. DPW put away the holiday decorations on Main Street and at Borough Hall. A rotted wood fence was removed at the Schwindeman Cabin property, and leaf cleanup has also taken place at Albert Avenue Park. And staff continues to address any potholes that need to be repaired. Please use a report a concern feature on the Borough webpage to report any new potholes. Trees were removed or trimmed on Desmond and Blueberry Drive. Crews prepared for heavy rainstorm by clearing catch basins and supplying cones and barricades for any potential road closures. Trucks were made ready for the snow this past week, by putting out on plows and salt spreaders. The LED crosswalk sign at Washington Avenue and Moats was installed. A repair was made to the footbridge. Please remember to move your cars off the road when 2 or more inches of snow is predicted. This allows for the plows to do a more thorough job. And the next recycling date is January 25th. But also on a side note, I've had a privilege to ride around with Ralph Jesnowski, who's the head of the DPW, and it really is a privilege because I get to see what he does and what they do. And I was out in the storm, in the rainstorm, and The guys are wonderful, and it's he, the police department, fire department, rescue squad, there was, and the other men from the DPW. There was a tree had fallen on Highland Drive, and like I said, it was a privilege for me to be there. Instead of being somebody in the background watching, I got to see everybody showing up, and it's around midnight, and they're all ready to go. And the one thing my son said about the fire department, he says, well, they're getting time and a half, aren't they? I said, no, they're volunteers. So that's why, if anyone else, you see a police officer, fireman, DPW, rescue squad, EMT, please recognize what they do, because they do things to keep us all safe. While everyone sleeps, they're out, and I did see that. And I also had a privilege to go plowing with Ralph also. So, and that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor. It's been fun.
Thank you. Councilman Potter?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, Councilman Poznanski, yes, please send Ralph, his group did an amazing job.
Absolutely.
This past weekend. You know,
Absolutely.
that was a quick storm, but they did plow the roads, and everybody was able to get in and out safely. So thank you for that.
And it's amazing too, because he can call them at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, there they are.
Yep,
And most people don't think about that, but I got to see it.
exactly. Mr. Mayor, I'll go through the public safety reports. The first report I have is from the Milltown Police Department from Chief Johnson. Between December 1st, 2023 and January 16th, 2024, police responded to 1,609 calls for service. During this period, the police conducted 123 radar details in numerous locations. Police made 389 motor vehicle stops during this period. Police investigated 22 motor vehicle accidents. There were 12 arrests, which included shoplifting, possession of a stolen motor vehicle, simple assaults, DWI, arrest warrants, and violations of restraining orders. Regarding speeding concerns, police received one report concern regarding speeding on Vandal Avenue, and I believe this was the gentleman that came to our council meeting in 2023. A speed analysis is currently underway. This process is comprised of collecting data using sophisticated computer that captures vehicle numbers, speeds, and times. We then follow up with a portable radar trailer to help the driver awareness. Lastly, we set up strict enforcement patrols. As a reminder, stop speeding before it stops you. Speeding is not worth the cost. For the speeding driver, there are fines and lost driving privileges. If you cause an accident when speeding, you could be subject to criminal charges and civil lawsuits. Do your part and keep Milltown safe, stay alert, and slow down. The Milltown police officers will continue to enforce all traffic laws, parking violations, and speeding violations. And also, too, please check the Borough website to see the new traffic enforcement campaign posted by Chief Johnson. Commendations. Sergeant Michael Dennis and Patrolman Michael McCabe were giving commendation letters for their actions on December 19, 2023. On the night of December 19, 2023, Sergeant Dennis and Patrolman McCabe observed a U-Haul truck driving through town that matched the description of a U-Haul truck that has been used in burglaries within Middlesex County. Upon stopping the U-Haul truck, the officers found that the driver had an active arrest warrant and was in possession of stolen property. As a result of their actions, the U-Haul truck that was rented under a fraudulent name was recovered along with 6 stolen credit cards. Congratulations, Sergeant Dennis and Patrolman McCabe. Winter storm parking and snow removal. Now that we're in the winter season, residents are reminded to follow borough ordinances regarding parking and snow removal. After 1 hour of continuous accumulating snow, no person shall park, stop, or leave an abandoned vehicle on any borough street. Please help our public works crews by moving your vehicles as required so that they can effectively and safely plow our streets. Vehicles that are left on roadways may be ticketed and/or towed. Within 24 hours of a snowstorm, residents must shovel the sidewalks in front of their homes. Many children walk to school and are adversely affected when residents fail to shovel sidewalks. Reminder, it is prohibited to throw ice or snow on any borough street. Also, too, people walking their dogs are also affected by that as well. Hiring. The Milltown Police Department needs part-time school crossing guards. The position is part-time with very flexible hours. Be a role model for our children and come join our team. The Milltown Police Department is currently accepting resumes and employment applications for the position of a full-time day shift from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. 911 public safety communicator. This fast-paced position that requires very strong computer and typing skills, along with the ability to multitask in a stressful environment. Do you have what it takes? Come join our team and make a difference. Our 911 PSTs are the backbone of our police department, and we will train you. Applications for both positions can be found on the Borough website. For more information about the position, please contact Lieutenant Carmen DiLorenzo at cdilorenzo@milltownpd.org. In conclusion, please continue to report specific activities, traffic concerns, and non-emergent calls to 732-828-1100. Emergency and life-threatening calls, please use 911. Any concerns and/or complaints can be submitted by using the official Borough website or by calling Milltown Police directly. Mr. Mayor, my second report is from the Milltown Fire Department. This is the report from December, so it's going to have the month-to-date and year-to-date numbers. For drills, month-to-date, there were 3, which was a year-to-date of 31. There was a meeting in December, which year-to-date there was 12. Fire calls for the month were 17, and year-to-date calls were 178. Special assignments were 6, and year-to-date were 50. Work details were 3, with a year-to-date of 50. And total incidents, there were 30 in the month of December, with a year-to-date of 321. Regarding training, there were 2 members that signed up for the Firefighter 1 training at the Middlesex County Fire Academy, and members are always needed. Candidates interested in joining the Milltown Fire Department are encouraged to stop by the firehouse Monday nights at 6:30 or email joinmilltownfire@gmail.com. Mr. Mayor, my final report is from the Milltown Rescue Squad. These are for calls from December of 2023. There were a total of 108. 61 were in Milltown, 13 were on the New Jersey Turnpike, and 34 were mutual aid. Regarding total calls for 2023, there was 1,210. Out of that, 57% were in Milltown, 20% were on the New Jersey Turnpike, and 23% required mutual aid. Our top 10 responders, Jackie Huang was number 1, Kyle Blackmeyer, number 2, Greg Vadea was number 3, Will Kaplan, 4, John Schwartz, 5, Lily Schneider, 6, Akil Yedakuri was 7, Chris Salover was 8, Josh Lowenstein was 9, and Ashley Ham was 10. Thank you so much for our top 10 responders. Regarding dispatch reasons, number 1, first, 23% was for motor vehicle crashes, 13% were for sick persons, 11% were for fall victims, 9% was fire department response, and 5% were psychiatric emergencies. By the numbers, we transported 511 people to the hospital. Of the 511, the paramedics treated 79 patients with us. We responded to 9 fire rehab requests throughout the county, and we responded to 14 calls requiring a rescue truck response. We welcomed 20 members to our organization. 3 of them were already EMTs when they joined, and 11 members completed the EMT training in 2023. We look forward to our continued growth in 2024, which will be our 87th year of service. We will begin accepting applications for our spring onboarding process. Anyone who's interested in learning about joining the rescue squad or becoming an EMT should email recruit@milltownrescuesquad.org to learn more. Applications for April 2024 need to be submitted by March 10th, and we are happy to answer any questions. And finally, Mr. Mayor, regarding the Public Safety Committee, the Public Safety Committee will be meeting with the Milltown Fire Chiefs tomorrow, and will be scheduling meetings with the Rescue Squad and the Police Department soon after. Some of our key topics for discussion are pedestrian safety, discussion about the installation of the cameras in our parks, which Council President Revelinsky mentioned, and also parking concerns. We will also be discussing the essential needs of each department. And finally, for Milltown 4th of July, the Milltown 4th of July Committee will be submitting the request to have our annual July 4th event to the mayor and council in the near future, and we'll look forward to presenting the anticipated schedule of events. And that concludes my reports.
Thank you. Councilman Zambrana?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I have three short reports. The first one is from the Environmental Health and Social Services on Thursday, January 24th of this week. There will be the first meeting of 2024. It will be via Zoom. Usually these meetings are, the first one of the year is for reorg and to introduce new members that join the committee. If you go to the calendar invite on the website, you'll be able to click into the Zoom link and you will be led into the meeting. Board of Health will meet tomorrow. This will be in person, probably in the back room, 7 o'clock. Again, it'll be an intro into a reorg, introducing members and appointing a chair and other officers. The Revitalization Advisory Committee, we met on January 9th. We reorged, we nominated and appointed our chair, Andrea Vanderveer, and introduced new members, one of which is Mr. Poznanski's wife, Heidi Stout. Moving forward, the committee asked if that Zoom meeting could be moved to 7:30 instead of 7 o'clock, and moving forward, already on the calendar, thank you, Monica, for making that change. Meetings will be via Zoom at 7:30. And then one last thing is today we actually received an outreach from, I believe it was Channel 12?
Yes.
Looking to spotlight or showcase some of our businesses on Main Street. Don't know how that came about. Maybe it might have been through the planners, which we did such a great job with, but we'll get back to that contact and see if we can make that happen sooner rather than later to highlight our businesses. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. I have no report. I have no report.
Okay. There was one thing that I didn't quite say correctly, and now that I reread it, I can clarify it, is that to the eat, drink, and vote on Saturday, January 27th at 10:15 a.m. is a register to vote, which, and I noticed when I was walking the town a lot, in my neighborhood especially, there was a lot of turnover, a lot of people who moved in during COVID, and a lot of those people may not be registered in town to vote. Some of those people, as I directly asked, were not, and that could be very useful. So just to mention, that was January 27th, 10:15 a.m. at the library.
Councilman Potter, you said the public safety committee meeting tomorrow night is 6:30?
It's 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock when it's down here?
No, it'll be at the firehouse. I don't know if you were available, John. You said you weren't. That's why Councilman Poznanski and I will be there. But if you're available, we're going to be at the firehouse at 7 o'clock.
Mr. Mayor, I had a couple of things I just wanted to put out there. As you know, the new deputy is sworn in tonight, Mary, so welcome to my office. We're super happy to have you. Dog licenses for the public, those are, have been rolling in. In order to renew your dog license, your rabies has to be good through October 31st of this year. That's a state law. That's not a Milltown Borough law. That's not a Monica Borough Clerk rule. It is state law. There's no way around it. I'm sorry if it's inconvenient. Rabies has to be good through October 31st. The late fee for renewing your dog license begins February 1st. It's a $5 fee. Primary petitions, if you are looking to run for council, you can reach out and I can get you set up with the paperwork. Primary petitions are due to my office or the county clerk's office by Monday, March 25th at 4 p.m. That's a hard 4 p.m. If you come at 4:02, I'm going to say, sorry, you can't turn this in. I'm also in need of poll workers. It's a big election year this year with the presidential election coming. We will train you. You get paid to train. You get paid to work the election. You can do a half day. You can do a full day. I need people for primary. I need you for the general. You can have a party affiliation. You can be unaffiliated. Please come. If you are interested in being a poll worker, you can reach out to my office, 732-828-2100, extension 181. Or you can email me directly, morlando@milltownborough.com. The meeting schedule, I finally got a hold of everybody. Meeting schedule has been uploaded to our website on the calendar. Thank you, Mary, for helping me with that. Anybody that meets via Zoom, the Zoom links are, when you click on the meeting date, the Zoom links are there. You can click on it, as Councilman Zambrana said, it'll bring you right to the Zoom. I also, for anybody who's here in person, next to the agendas, I printed out a meeting schedule for Borough Council and for all the other boards, committees, and everything else that are meeting. So that's available. If you're not here and you'd like a copy of it, you can stop by my office. There's copies in my office for the public. And that is all that I have.
Monica, do you think you could reach out to the senior center and post that for the poll workers?
Yeah, I'm actually, now that you brought that up, I spoke with Debbie Cuddy, and I'm probably going to be coming out to the senior center sometime in February with the paperwork to make sure people are registered to vote, if they need to do mail-in ballots, anything like that, just to talk about it. And at the same time, I'm going to see if I can garner any interest in poll workers. But I'll actually do a flyer too with my information to put up there for now till I get there. They can reach out.
Great.
Next one. Old business. Does any member of the council have any old business to bring before the council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Wanted to ask if there's been any update on the evaluation around the Human Relations Committee.
No, there has not.
Okay. Do we think we'll have one by the next meeting?
Has there been any meetings last year?
There were meetings last year, Mayor. I reached out to the former chair. I left a phone message, but haven't got anything back. I did speak to the chief, who was on the committee last year. He attended a couple of meetings, but after March, from his invite stopped. But I understand that they've had meetings last fall because it was reported in council that they met.
Yeah, the last matter I remember them discussing was the renaming of Patain.
Yep.
I believe it's something they do every year. Yes, sir.
We don't do that every year.
Every 5 years.
Okay. Thank you. I'll follow up on that.
Thank you.
New business. Does any member of the council have any new business to bring before council?
I do, only because I stopped short without talking about the senior center. If I can just finish that report? Okay. Milltown Senior Center update, January 2024. Following activities take place each week at the Milltown Senior Center. These activities are run through the Office on Aging for those 60 and over. Some of the activities include aerobics, line dancing, they have it twice, chair yoga, billiards, walk aerobics, men's club, chorus, Spanish, arts and crafts, bingo, and a monthly visit from the VNA nurse and sweating with the oldies. All classes are still $1, and classes for those out-of-town seniors are $2. There's no cost for Milltown residents to see the VNA nurse. The Senior Center also offers opportunity to join the Milltown Senior Citizens Club. This is at $10 per year for those 55 and above. For more information, please contact Bob Skarzinski at 732-296-1159. You do not have to join the Senior Citizens Club to participate in the Office on Aging programs and activities. And just a reminder, the bus is available for rides to and from your medical appointments. Please contact Debbie Cuddy, 732-296-0681, in advance to schedule an appointment. The following is a list of bus trips. On Wednesday, January 24th, we're having a bus trip to Cracker Barrel. The bus will leave the Senior Center at 10:30 a.m. And on Wednesday, January 31st, we're having a bus trip to the Monmouth Kitchen. The bus will leave the Senior Center at 11:15. As with all trips and presentations, there is a sign-up sheet on the bulletin board at the Senior Center, or if you're interested in participating, you can call Debbie at 732-296-0681 or register via email at dcuddy@milltownborough.com. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
New business?
What?
New business? Oh, and a question for Peter. Sorry, Peter. We still haven't named a street after this World War II veteran that was killed in action. I was wondering, there's a dead end by me. It's a street with no house. It's probably the only street in Milltown that's no house on. How hard would it be?
Does the street have a name now?
Yes.
Okay, renaming a street is easy, so we can certainly put an ordinance on if the council is so inclined to do so.
Okay, I'll ask the residents over there and see what they say, but there's no houses there, so it technically won't change anything.
Seems to be pretty easy to do.
Thanks.
You got it.
Do you think that would be a nice segue into renaming Patain rather? Like do one that has no name, no houses on it, and make sure we cross our i's and dot our t's and...
I think I indicated last year that the mechanics of renaming a street are easy. The ramifications are the thing that people are concerned about. So if there are houses on the street, making sure the residents understand what's going to happen when the street's renamed, what impacts it may or may not have. That was something that the Human Relations Committee was supposedly trying to look into and provide me with some input on. Obviously, a street with no residents should be pretty easy.
Okay. Open to the public. The public comment portion of the meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments. The council will respect the public's time by refraining from any comment until the speaker has finished. It should be further noted that the public comment portion of our meeting is not structured as a question and answer session. Please state your name and address for the record when you come to the podium.
Good evening, Richard Ryan, 60 South Main Street. Mr. Mayor, council members, professionals, ladies, gentlemen. 60 South Main Street. So I'm here this evening because I believe that a relatively recent series of events are indicative of a potential zoning violation. Some of the specifics I'll give you quickly are, my house is on Main Street. I think it's a B2 zone.
It's B1 actually, I think.
B1. As are all the properties there. The rear of my property is an R6 zone. And some of you that are familiar with it understand that there's a school back there. And the distance between the back of my property and the school structure itself is, I didn't put a tape measure on it, but it's no more than 12 feet or so. Starting about a half a year ago, there was in my humble opinion, a significant increase in usage of part of that school structure that essentially is a cafeteria and a kitchen. So we recognize that a lot of these facilities, schools and other sorts of buildings provide a service or various services to the community. I'm not here against that at all. I am here because it's become a serious enough situation that on many occasions across the last 2 months or maybe 3 months, the police have had to been called to respond to crowds and noise issues. They've been very helpful to us. I thank them for that. Some dialogue was attempted by myself and some other neighbors with the landlord, if you will, of the property, because I believe that's what the scenario is now, though it may not have always been that. So the long and the short of it is, the school structure being in that R6 zone is a pre-existing non-conforming situation. And if we think that originally, you know, we had X amount of students and teachers in the school and we were feeding them lunch and that supports the kitchen and the cafeteria, if there were some other sort of events going on that were educational in nature, as well as, you know, a benefit to the community, I don't think that anybody has had an issue with that. This is a different story. This is a situation where it has been advertised publicly, come rent our hall. And with that, they've had, I think, significant success in renting that hall. What it's done is, almost every Saturday for a half a year, create a situation where there are dozens and dozens of people in that facility celebrating one thing or another. Tremendous amount of car traffic, pedestrian traffic, music. Whether it's live or whether it's DJ style. I think that most of you probably understand what I'm driving at. The question becomes, do we look upon that use differently? I do. I believe that that is what would be considered a non-approved use. I believe that what would be required would be a accessory use variance from the zoning planning board. I bring my issue here on behalf of some of the residents and myself because I think that the method to research whether or not there is an existing variance is something that should go through the zoning official's office. I'm not in a position to know or to understand if that's something I could chase myself or if it's something that has to happen at the direction of mayor and council. So I'm here to plead with you, if that's the case, to at least take some steps to determine whether or not there's an existing variance for that use or not. And if there's not, then I think it's imperative that steps be taken to notify the parties involved that they should apply for a variance. It's my humble opinion, again, that that is specifically the function of zoning and planning boards. And so I'm just looking for your help. Guidance, advisement, whatever the case may be.
I can jump in if you guys.
I was going to say, I'm looking at you. I know the planning board has a meeting tomorrow night in which we'll be appointing or hopefully appointing the attorney, but before we even get there.
I was just saying, you're not a planning board yet, so
Right.
essentially what my understanding from Mr. Ryan is, I know where he lives, so essentially we're talking about St. Paul's and the school that is behind it, where Good Day Preschool is located. That property is in two zones. The house of worship in the front is in the B1 zone. The school in the back is split between, I think, the B1 and the R4, but I'm not exactly sure. Nonetheless, I don't believe the house of worship is a permitted use in either zone. I don't know whether there are any approvals for it, or if it's a pre-existing non-conforming use. I think the appropriate action would be to reach out to your zoning officer and ask them to look into it, because that would be your next step. That's the person who's in charge of looking into this type of concern that's raised by a resident.
Could I have the zoning officer reach out to you, Peter? Would that
Of course,
be okay?
absolutely. I have a little bit of information on the church only because last year Mr. Schneider was looking to have a place to put his farm stand when we ran up against an issue with that, and I did a little legwork as to what the uses were over there, because that's where it was ultimately located. So certainly I can work with him, give him the value of the information I have on it, and then help him with any questions, because as you know, I do a fair amount of land use work in my private practice. So
Thank
work for you, Mr. Ryan.
So I would expect then that somebody will follow up and contact me.
I was just going to ask you if you could write down your email
Phone number?
phone number for me here. I don't want you to give it on the thing, but you can come down here and write it for me, and I'll make sure you're to get it to Peter, and we'll get it to you.
Thank you for your help. Thank you all for your consideration.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? No? Council comments. Is there anything further anyone on the council would like to bring up at this time?
I just wanted to afford our borough engineer the opportunity to speak if he had anything pressing to discuss, whether it be about the West Foch or Albert Avenue, and then I figured at this time too, if anyone wanted to start throwing some of the ideas or thoughts or comments out there regarding their review of the plans for Albert Avenue, this might be a good time to jumpstart that discussion.
And also, Mr. McClellan, Highland Drive, I know we talking about the paving of Highland Drive, we're still looking into it. So.
Okay. Let's take it one by one. Yes, the pre-construction meeting went well. We appreciate the council involvement. It's always better to have you there to hear what the contractor says and basically voice the borough's concerns at that time. Albert Avenue Park, as was discussed earlier, the plans are being prepared. I have a copy with me tonight, and we're anxious to get the comments as they come in. So please send them, contact us, however you want to do it. We'll be happy to make a presentation next meeting with regard to what the plan is. Hagen Contain is a project that's been closed out upon approval of ADA ramps by the county. I signed the certification today, and hopefully we'll get okay from the county to be able to close that project out. And lastly, on the water system improvements, we're waiting for some guidance from DCA, which is the entity that's financing the water project, to see if we can use the financing to mill and pave full width on Highland Drive. And hopefully we'll get a positive answer from them, and they'll be able to fund that for you rather than take it out of the dollar.
When do you think you would find out from DCA or expect to hear back from them?
Well, we've been in conversation with them for 2 weeks or so. They haven't given us a date, but I'd say another couple of weeks.
But before paving season?
Yes.
Okay, because we're going to, I'm sure the DPW committee is going to start discussing their interlocal agreements with the county and things, so.
Yeah, Rich, it's a question whether it makes sense to have the county do it, and if they do, will the DCA fund the county's work? We will have the contractor there.
Well, with the amount of work that PSE&G did this year, and their intended approach of just paving basically half width, I think we're going to be pushing to utilize all of our interlocal agreements. Somewhere else in town, we've highlighted a couple of streets that may or may not have been touched by PSE&G as well that are in dire need of some milling and paving. So we're going to have, or the DPW committee is going to have some tough choices coming up this year on how much to allocate, when and where. So hopefully we hear positively back from the DCA on this.
Okay. Keep you posted. That's all I have.
If I have a question regarding the Albert Ave Park.
Yes.
And actually, in the lawyer sense too, it came up in the meeting, was, I don't see it on the plan and noted anywhere, I don't know if it's presented, but are there going to be lights on the bike path? It seems like it, and I understood from what was mentioned at the meeting, was brought up as a good point, was that because the park technically closes at dusk, lights are not, we're not obligated to have lights. However, lights make sense. However, I do know in other situations, lights have caused problems for people who live around the park. I know, sometimes different colors, different angles, a lot of options. Is there any kind of legal obligation to have lights? Is there any kind of legal ramifications that if we do have lights, are we implying that people can be there at night? Because I know it was mentioned kind of like, if someone's in the park and they seem to be suspicious, the police can ask them to leave because the park closes at dusk. If you have lights, you've implied that maybe that it's open or that it is available. Is any of that?
There's no hard and fast rule on it. I mean, if you light the park, you could arguably say that you're lighting the park to make it easier for police to see if anyone's there. That being said, I would agree that lighting the park probably creates an attractive nuisance for anybody who wants to go into the park after dark and be there because you've created a much more enjoyable environment. It's now lit, and frankly, if I was a kid in school, I'd think a well-lit park was probably an easier place to hang out.
Better for the cameras, but,
Yeah, so at the end of the day, you're not really looking at any legal ramifications. It's a question of choice and what you want to deal with, and probably cost is something that I'll defer to Mr. McClelland on, but, I don't know that the cost is going to be something that you'd want to incur for what you'd probably use it for.
I'm actually curious too, I'll ask that question as well. Do you see other bike paths that you guys design and have installed or constructed in various municipalities do they often go with lights along the path, not go with lights, or is it just kind of luck of the draw?
It's town by town. We're in the process of designing a 60-acre park up in northern county, and the direction is they want lighting along the paths. Other towns prefer not to do it because, as was discussed earlier, with regard to traffic nuisance and inviting folks to walk the path. Most parks close at dusk, even the county's parks, but they light the walkways and certain things. I mean, one interesting thing you've all seen along the parkway in the exit 91 area, the water department for Bricktown owns a reservoir there, and they have that path lit, but it's fenced off, closed off again. So you have those issues to deal with. So, really, it's town by town, policy by policy. But it's a costly thing to do, by the way. It's not inexpensive. Every light's going to be probably about $1,000. Don't hold me that I can check it. That's about what we're talking about. You got to run power to it. You have your own electric utility, so you have options that most towns don't have. So the cost to get the power drop and those kind of things is minimized because you have your own staff. So it's policy by policy by town. We're happy to do it though, if that's what you want.
No, just a thought that came up. And then the bike path itself, as that, I believe that crosses the street at some point?
Yeah, there's we've been asked to include a couple of crossings, one on Albert Avenue and then also on, I believe on Hill Street.
Yeah, because, well, so the question was then that if the understanding, so the wording of the grant is specifically bike path, nothing but bike path. But the crosswalk, as it involves the bike path, is kind of created as a necessity because of the bike path. Or is any of a crosswalk, a lane crosswalk, any kind of a speed bump, speed control, is that covered by the grant, or does that have to come out of the town's budget?
The difficulty here is that the grant that you received is the minimal amount. So, these grants that you qualify for are very competitive. We were happy to see Milltown. I think you get $250,000 from the state. So just to put the walkway in, it eats a ton of the money up. So really, these extra extensions are something that you would fund out of your additional budget. But I would say a crosswalk would be included. Lighting it is another thing, whether or not they would include the type of traffic signal or something like that there would be something to have to check. But the problem here is that the walk alone is lengthy and is eating up the full $250,000.
Okay. Do we have limitations on those crosswalks? Is there a standard that you can't have a crosswalk or?
Microphone.
Sorry, I lean back when I talk. Move this thing closer, get me a lapel mic. These crosswalks, is there a limit to how wide they can be? Because one section in question is where a lot of folks park their vehicles, and that is directly by the bathrooms. And so if that's a spot for parents to do pickup and drop off during the summer recreation program, would it behoove us to have that crosswalk be larger and just a lot more visible, at least during the day, so people are aware as opposed to just a narrow strip of white lines on the blacktop?
Yeah, they're generally about 6 feet, really mandated by actually the MDTCD, which is a federal mandate. So I'm not sure how you can get wider than that. So.
Okay.
Mike, I have a question.
There are ways of restricting parking. I mean, we can do other things that would do that. Or restricting, there's other traffic signal controls and signage. So,
Being that we're not decided yet on the lighting, would it be better to have the idea that we're going to have lighting before the construction begins because of the wiring involved?
Yeah, and if, obviously your own forces can do a certain amount, but if you're going to have the contractor do, you put it in one contract. So
Okay, right.
It would be best to know before we got to do it.
Okay.
What you did tonight, you requested NJDOT to give you an extension time to make these decisions. I think that was a smart move because you basically said, listen, give us another 6 months, there's some issues. We want to get this job to bid right away, so springtime we can start using the place. But I think you need a couple of weeks, and I think that'll give you time to go through it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Just to be clear, the park project currently does not include any sort of additional lighting, whether it be ball field lighting or other. So to add electrical work for just the lights around a field might be something we could consider in the future for other additional lighting or power needs at the park.
We can put conduit under the walk in a couple spots in case you have to cross that around.
Rich, I can tell you that was expensive. I think the lights were about $150,000 grant for the lights on Borough Park.
Right.
In Field 2, so something to consider. Well, I do have something I just want to welcome our new deputy clerk, Mary. Welcome, and we look forward to working with you.
Okay, I have my comments. I would like to congratulate Jasser Ali and Demarius Sanchez that I wed on Friday afternoon, and I wish them luck and many years of happiness. I would like to thank Council President Revelinsky and Councilman Potter for reaching out to me about the Borough Park lights for all to enjoy the sledding under the lights on Friday. Unfortunately, the hill was all used up to enjoy on Saturday night, so there was no more snow left. So thank you both for reaching out to me. I wanted to let the residents know that I spoke with the Acme property owner and Acme. The deal fell apart when they reached out to Milltown about 6 months ago. The representative from Acme had wished I was mayor 6 months ago in his comments because we probably could have gotten a arrangement to close the deal. So Acme was looking to invest a large sum of money to that Acme store to keep it open and operational in an effective manner. The deal fell apart. So on March 31st, the store will officially be closed, and it will be rented out as a warehouse space until the construction for 190 units happen in 2025. And I also would like to reiterate that I did speak to the director of DPW. He said about throwing snow back into the street after everything's been plowed makes it more hazardous for the motorists and for the borough guys that have to go back and run the plows back through the streets. Next, the agenda that we have for discussion for February 12th, 2024 meeting, we have the presentation by CME on Albert Avenue Park improvements. Public hearing, second reading ordinance for 24-1529 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriations limited to establish a cat bank. NJSA 40A 4-45.14. First reading ordinance 24-1530, an ordinance to fix the amended salaries and wages for various borough employees and provide in a manner of payment thereafter. Therefore, 24-1531, Baden ordinance for Albert Avenue Park improvements, and a discussion about single-sided parking for JFK Drive between Violet Terrace and Carina Drive during certain hours.
And Mr. Mayor, I believe those hours are during school hours.
Yes, correct. And then we will have, next council meeting will be on Tuesday, February 12th. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Third. So I have a motion by Council President Revelinsky and seconded by Councilman Potter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you.
I get excited about adjournment. You gonna hit the gavel?